Welcome back to Riding Bikes in San Diego. I think you know where we are. It's Montezuma. We are west of Colwood heading towards Fairmount. And this is a video about a little change in infrastructure that was made. And again, I've said this before, but calling flex post infrastructure is being really generous. But you see these new flex posts here in the buffer? Those are relatively new. They got here, I'm going to say like 3 or 4 months ago. Does that sound right? Yeah, ish. And since they put them in, I've always kind of been a little wary of just how far they extend down because I want to get over to the left. Like, that's my route. I don't take Fairmount North back to Grantville. I take it south to Mid-City. So I'm waiting for these flex posts to end as they do, and then I need to get over. And usually it's not too much of a problem, but the amount of time I have to get over without those flex posts being in my way has been reduced. Now they end and I'm able to look over my shoulder, signal, get on over, and then this triangle opens up here and I can be in that triangle, which actually is a bike lane, right? So I do that often. I love how that big pile of gravel is still there. I've reported that like twice. But that's my normal routine. Sometimes I have to stop and wait for the traffic to go, but not really that often. Usually traffic's actually quiet enough or going slow enough that I'm able to get over. But the problem is that recently they made a change to my ability to go left. And it's a change that I'm going to argue, just to spoil it for everyone, I'm about to argue that it's a change that is very much thinking about drivers and is not considering people riding bicycles at all, which is so strange. Let's take a look at it real fast. Here we are just a few days later, and I'm on that same spot, and I'm looking to change over, and I'm like, okay, just need an opening. These drivers are going pretty fast. I'm not going to find an opening though. And it's frankly a good thing I didn't try to rush it, because you see all those yellow flex posts that they put in? All of a sudden, they filled that triangle with all these yellow posts. And by the way, we're at about 2 minutes and 40 seconds on this. We're going to sit here and wait for a second. I need an opening. And I know that some people might be watching this and thinking like, oh, this is fine, I'll just, wait for the opening and then go over. But it's more dangerous. First of all, this bike lane isn't that wide, so if anybody else on a bicycle comes down this bikeway, now I might be in their way. So that's a bummer. Also, I'm going from a standstill, which means I'm not going to be able to cross as fast as I would have been able to cross if I had had the space to change lanes. And I think that that's kind of a problem. I don't know why they put those flex posts in. I could speculate, and I will. It maybe stops drivers from changing lanes after the split has happened, so that makes it safer for drivers. It does not make it safer for people riding bicycles. As a matter of fact, it's taken away space from people riding bicycles. And especially in this area, if I were to go back down to Grantville, you've seen it before where I cross on Fairmount under the 8 and then keep going. There's actually a triangle just like that one, but it's painted all green. And the idea is that a person riding a bicycle has to get there and they're in the bike lane. But over here, they just filled it up. And I don't like that. And they still didn't clean up that big pile of gravel right here. Somehow they installed, 20, 25, 30 yellow posts, and they couldn't get a shovel and clean all that gravel out of the way. It drives me nuts, but we go on our way. We were sitting there for about 2 minutes, y'all, and you ask a driver to sit for 2 minutes, they would not stand for that. But they put in this infrastructure, again, loosely calling this infrastructure, but it seems to be hostile to people riding bicycles and maybe marginally beneficial to people driving cars. I'll bet you I'll go over there in the next few days, and I'll bet $1 right now that at least one of those flex posts is going to be gone inside the next week or two. A driver's going to smack into it. I have no doubt in my mind about that. I make my way down the cloverleaf here, and we keep going. Now, I want to show you yet another day riding the same path. Right now, traffic is heavier though, and I think that that's important to understand and acknowledge, because it's very different when there are drivers who are going slower. I wish that if they're going to put in things that restrict access and space for somebody riding a bike, they could at least put in traffic calming. See, that's the problem. It's not so much cars and drivers in the area, it's that the drivers are going really fast. When drivers are going slower, there's more time for them to react, more time for them to see what's going on, more time for me to make negotiations, and there's just more predictability, right? We see things, and this driver, like, we're going slow enough. I'm going the same speed. I was able to look over, I was able to communicate, and now I can get all the way over. But now I don't have the benefit of being in that space to be out of the way of a driver who might have come down here because they put a bunch of yellow bollards there. Not even bollards, flex posts. I'm being so generous. They're putting a bunch of flex posts there. They don't belong there. It's making things more dangerous. But that was super easy to get over just then because there's traffic. Because there's a bunch of drivers backed up because it's evening rush hour. Okay, it's 5:19 when I'm on this ride right here. When drivers are going slower, it's easier to cross. If they're gonna make me wait at that spot like I did back in the 2, 3, and early 4-minute mark of this video, why can't I get like a push button with flashing lights or something? Why can't I get something to help me make that crossover instead of just having drivers go as fast as they want, and I'll just wait for an opening? As many of you who watch me on this stretch point out, these are expressways. Like, some people, especially the European viewers, I love that you're in here, they call this a freeway. They see this as a fast-moving, expressway, and it is. There's no expectation for a driver to have to stop unless there are other drivers around them, and I think that's a problem of design. Then I have to cross over this thing every dang day. So there we are, but they just put these yellow flex posts in, and they make things more dangerous, and they are going to make it more difficult to bicycle over here for anybody on a bike. So just wanted to show it to you, and hope that we can think about it and maybe improve it while we drive less and ride a bike. Thanks.